Boy, oh boy, does it get better than this? Hey guys, what is up going on here? Oh, I just messed up my intro. Who cares? Hawks ramblings. Weird. It felt weird to start with something else than my usual intro, and if I think about it too much, can't execute on all that. Um, I don't know. This feeling right now is great. It's something I don't know. It's just like it's everything you hope for all rolled into one. Um, is the crazy thing is like, man, it could get better than this. Like 2 weeks from now, the Seahawks are playing in the Super Bowl for a chance to win a national championship. Like that's crazy with this team, with this city, and man, how awesome is that? So much cool stuff happening on. I don't even know where to start with this game. Like I don't know where this thing's gonna go. Maybe I'll just talk about certain pieces. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of like at this point I'm just kind of like reflecting and just kind of like speechless, because man, during the game I was so pumped up. I was so excited watching everything happen, and then like after the game, just talking about all this stuff a lot. Trying to figure out what. Oh, hold on, 1 second. Yeah, just after the game, just talking about all this stuff, watching all the interviews, watching all the I don't know, like the press conferences, and just the whole thing. It was just awesome to soak in. And the one thing, my one personal goal going into this game was just trying to soak up the experience and not let my I don't know, passion for Seahawks and trying to root for the Seahawks, not let that get in the way of just watching a fantastic football game. Because man, like yeah, this game was much better being a Seahawks fan, but like it got to a point where it's just like, man, regardless of what happens, even after the 49ers had scored in the end, it's like what an epic game. And even if you didn't care about either of these teams, what an epic game. And as you can see in the thumbnail here, I went with the Ricardo Lockett punt decapitation. I don't know. I thought this was cool. I picked it at halftime because I wanted to get it all set up for when I was done. But then, obviously, didn't do it in a crazy timely manner because I was like, I was gonna go in the hot tub with my dad and just talk about the game. But then it was like, oh, now they're having Richard Sherman interview. Now they're having Doug Baldwin or a press conference. Now they're having Russell Wilson press conference. And it was like, man, this stuff is too good to soak up, and so much. I don't know, good stuff to watch. It's just hard to look away, and kind of end it because it felt like the experience was still going. Um, I don't know. I'll kind of take you through my mindset because you can check my tweets if you want like a more, live. You can probably see what plays it corresponds to, even though I don't give it specifically, But at the beginning, when Russell Wilson fumbled on the first play of the game, it just made me laugh. I was like, oh man, that's just funny. That's just unfortunate. That's just a tough situation where I think a lot of people wanted to be like, oh gosh, immediately like worst case scenario and blah 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 blah. And it's like, man, you can learn so much from this team. And the one thing is that okay, they're not going to get blown out. They're going to be in every single game, and you're gonna get a chance to win in the end. That's what they proved, and especially at home. And I think the Cardinals game was a little bit of a fluke in the sense that they kind of needed that to center themselves a bit and just try to kind of like get back on, I don't know, realize that they were human and like could technically be beat, but they weren't going. It wasn't the same atmosphere, it wasn't the same environment. The stakes weren't as high. I mean, the Cardinals were playing for a chance to potentially go to the playoffs. The Seahawks already locked up. Yeah, they were playing for the NFC West, but it wasn't the same. It was like, okay, they could still go next week and win. If the 49ers lost, they'd still would have clinched the NFC West. But I mean that happened, and then the when the Anthony Dixon with the 1 yard run for a touchdown make it 10-0, it was like, oh man, okay, I would have liked to hold him to a field goal. You don't know how, when points, or how often points are going to be scored, and all that. And then, the Seahawks kicked the field goal to make it 10-3 at halftime. And then the Marshawn Lynch run, once he had that cut and once he broke off, it was just like, dang, I called it then. I'm like, game, game over. That's felt like the dagger to me, even though it obviously wasn't over until much later, and it wasn't like I was like done watching and wasn't stressing out about to any degree, even though I was relatively calm the whole game, except for when the Seahawks made big plays. I think on that Marshawn Lynch run, I took my shorts off for some reason, and I think on the Jermaine Kearse run, I took my shirt off. I don't know, like it was just totally spur of the moment. Wasn't even thinking. I was just like insane. Like, man, those experiences when you're watching those games, like you can't overthink it, but it's just like, man, that's special. That's something like, I don't know. It's sometimes it's just crazy to think about. Like, man, how can sports have such big of an impact on like a city and matter so much and create such a rivalry and create such passion. Like, I don't know. If you think about it too much, it's like, man, it's just a game. Who really cares? But it's like, man, it matters so much. It's so fun to watch. So much. It's not just two teams. It's two cities going out there. And all that. And so once Marshawn Lynch had that run, I'm like, all right, okay, the Seahawks, they're good at this point. It's evened up. The momentum's totally on their side. They're set. And then Anquan Bolden, comes down and with that crazy throw from Colin Kaepernick, which is a great throw. I mean, on the run, jump throw, throws a blazer to Anquan Bolden. Earl Thomas jumps up, tries to tip it, barely misses it, and it was just like, I wasn't even mad. I wasn't like, oh, dang it, this is such a big play. It was just like, wow, that was great. And you could tell, at least I could tell, I was like, wow, this is just special. Like, you can't even be mad at any scores at this point. You just gotta like appreciate, and then there's the whole thing like, okay, then they kick a field goal, and then it was like some, back and forth. How are they going to get this? How are they going to get this? And then 4th and 7, well, 3rd and 22, and I said, like, okay, you just have to take a shot here. Like, you just have to do something long. If they pick it, no big deal. If you don't get it, you punt it. You can't do like a short pass play and try to run it. But then they do like a shorter play and run it and get 15 yards and make a 4th and 7. And then what I was not thinking is that they would go for it in that situation. And man, that was super gutsy, but that was probably the difference in the game, to be able to go for it and execute on that. And that was so huge. Where it's 4th and 7. They do the hard count, get him to jump off sides. They have that free play, and then throw it to the end zone to Kearse for the touchdown. I remember, when he's coming down with that, I'm like, hang on to it. Yes, it's like so happy, and it was just like, man, it was a perfect situation because like the nervousness of the 4th and 7 had kind of gone away by the time, or it was like dissipating as I realized, like, okay, the free play, they can do whatever, no big deal here. It can only be positive, But then it was really interesting, they decided to take the shot there because it's be 4th and 2 if they don't convert, and that's still, a big play. But if they don't convert, then they probably kick the field goal, so it's like 17-16 and in a different game, although probably would have turned out, similarly. I mean, I think they would have gone for the field goal on 4th and 1 that Kearse had brought it down in this crazy call where it wasn't a fumble, or it wasn't 49ers ball, even though Bowman had it laying down on the ground, and then Lynch came in and ripped it out of there. Pretty tough for Bowman, by the way. That really sucks. I mean, especially to get hurt. He hangs on to football, so it's like, oh, it doesn't look as bad. But then, there's tons of guys like piling on him, and you're like screaming in pain because you just tore your like ACL or whatever. Pretty brutal. Really, sucky part of the sport is just the injuries. But I guess that's just what happens. But then they don't get that, and then it's kind of like, okay, retribution at least, with the fumble there, to some degree. And wait a second. I was trying to think. I was like, okay, they had the fumble. Turnover ratio is 3-1. But then in the end, I think Michael Robinson fell on the fumble, so it's just turnover on downs. But I don't know. It was just such a great game. Then coming down to it, it was just like, okay, this is what you want. You're up 6. You need your defense to keep them out of the end zone. Like this is what you want. You're forcing them to throw it. It's your. This is what you pride your team on. If you can't do this, you can't. I don't know. You don't deserve to go to the Super Bowl anyway to face Peyton Manning. And, they give up some plays. The 49ers make some great plays. 4th and 2, Kaepernick rolls out and finds someone. Just a great play. And then, on the 29, throwing it up against Sherman, who makes a fantastic play to tip it away from Crabtree and then tip it right to Malcolm Smith for the interception. It was like, yes, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl. This is fantastic. And then I guess I'll touch on Sherman's comments after the game when he said, he's a sorry wide receiver, and when you open your mouth against the best, you're gonna get that's what happens. And then going up and giving the choke sign to Kaepernick, it was fantastic. It's everything you ask for, like the whole desperation, making the defense come down with a big play. Sherman having a great interview at the end where he's screaming at the TV, screaming at, Crabtree, goes and slaps him on the butt and says, good game, in a total mocking way. People hate it. People don't like it. But, man, as a Seahawks fan, is it so nice. And especially to, just go over to the 49ers subreddit and see, like, I hate Richard Sherman, blah, 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 blah. And just, the 40 whiners living up to their name, and it's just like, you just got to relish this moment, because it doesn't always play out like this, and it play out in the other way. And I thought the 49ers, this team handled it really well. Like Jim Harbaugh, said, it was a great game, tough situation, blah, blah, but it was kind of the fans that made it a bigger deal than it actually was. And we'll have to see how the whole interview thing plays out, because I'm guessing that Crabtree's comments are going to come out at some point, because Sherman was trying to keep that, downplay it, but I don't think he really had a chance to see kind of the backlash he got for that. But the funny thing is, like, there was backlash, and it was just like the I don't know, all the people like, I'm cheering for the Broncos now. I was a fan of the Seahawks. I did like Sherman up until this play. And it's just like, or that, not that play, but the interview. And it's just like, man, if you've watched any of Richard Sherman and what he does, like, this is what he lives for. You're fueling the Seahawks fire. Like, this is what they, once you start accepting them, once you start thinking that, they're the best, they're going to do what they do, as from a national stage, then, that's when you start to worry. But the more people doubt, and like Doug Baldwin after the game saying, like, yeah, I respect all these people, but when they're calling me average, they're calling me pedestrian, they're calling me appetizers, like, and just how much that fuels him. Then he goes out and has 6 catches for 106 yards, and it's like, man, are you serious? Like, you're gonna keep doing this? And then don't mention that we get Percy Harvin back, and just like to add a whole new element. It's like, holy cow! It's like it's just crazy to watch people. I don't know. It just seems like a special season. And my initial thoughts is like, well, first of all, what a great Super Bowl it's going to be. Second of all, it's like, man, this is what the Seahawks wanted from the beginning of the year. And can the Broncos really beat the 49ers? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, can the Seahawks really lose this? And going into this game, I was like 90% sure the Seahawks are going to win. Turned out, I don't know if it was sketchier than I thought, because it played out like pretty well, and I thought they'd always come down in the end. But it's like that prediction looked pretty good, and it's like, man, it's crazy how much like these analysts will say, like, I'm picking these 2 teams for these 2 reasons, and I'm a freaking 16-year-old kid and can pick the 2 games, and that it doesn't. I'm not looking at to necessarily credit me, but more as like a discredit to everyone else, because it doesn't matter like who people are picking. All that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is the teams that play on the field, and the people that study these teams are the ones that can really tell what's going on. But I don't know, what a great game. It's gonna be so fun to go to sleep tonight and just reflect on it. And man, it was just awesome. It's going to be a great 2 weeks. I've got finals this week, so hopefully I can finish my finals, and then I'll just start thinking about the Super Bowl, thinking about the Super Bowl, and I'm sure I've got a lot of teachers who, it's the whole city's around the Seahawks here, and I'm sure I'll be able to focus completely on the Seahawks 2 weeks from now. Luckily, I don't have school tomorrow, which is fantastic because I can just take this to soak everything in, and I didn't really have to study for finals as much today, and just kind of soak up the whole experience, and then tomorrow I'll get back on it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time, either talking about I'll probably do a preview at some point, but, at the end of the next game, it's either great season, NFC champions, or Super Bowl champions, first one for Seahawks ever. One last comment is the whole thing, like, quest for 6, that was the whole, 49ers, talk and everything like that, and it was kind of funny that, for some reason I was following, the San Francisco visitors, information page, which I was, sometimes I'll check my feed and, when did I follow this? Someone must have changed their Twitter handle or something like that, because I'm I do not remember following this, account or this person. And they're like, great season 49ers, congratulations to the Seahawks, super respectful. And then they add in the hashtag quest for 1, which is okay there. You're going to talk about being classy, and it's it doesn't matter to me, but, you can't be the same people that whine about what Richard Sherman did, because it's not like Richard Sherman got beat the whole game and then made a comment. He made one of the best plays in one of those clutch situations in the Seahawks history, that's for sure. I don't know. It's really exciting, and part of me is man, they're not poised for potentially one Super Bowl. They're poised to do this next year, and the year after, and build a legit dynasty. Where in NFL lore people look at this, and that's pretty sweet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.